Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Beantown Shakedown. My name is Colin Daly.
And I'm James Terry here alongside, and looks like Colin, you enjoying that nice Ringe, New Hampshire weather there?
Yeah, well, it's been really shitty the last couple of weeks, so getting to come out to the dock, which is a very nice idea. I get to come out with a friend, enjoy the
That's
nice
good.
weather.
That
Yeah.
that
Looks like
looks
you're
phenomenal.
indoors in
I am
Connecticut.
indoors in Connecticut.
Okay.
Looks really nice there. So of
Yeah, we're
course
not
the
doing too bad.
shows there, but you had an interesting weekend. Doing a little stalking right now. So why don't you lead us into our first topic right now?
Well, news broke late Friday, early Saturday that Kevin Love was in Boston, and you and I had been going back and forth about that for a couple weeks, how we'd love to see Kevin Love in Celtic Arena, and I just kind of went insane and just was checking Twitter every couple minutes and trying to figure out where he was going next. And I know he went to Greatest Bar, and he went to Rumor and Del Frisco and the Red Sox, and I straight up stalked a person. It's okay. But the report came out today, like we just talked about before the show, that it was basically a done deal, and this whole trip was to try and entice other players to come here, and I guess their next target's going to be Carmelo.
Yeah, and I think that'll be big, and I think everyone thought Carmelo would stay, just going to him in New York when they got Phil Jackson. But Phil Jackson can't even convince a coach to come right now. I know he already failed getting his first guy in Steve Kerr, and he's been fined now tampering with Derek Fisher, a coach with no experience. It really looks like Phil Jackson's struggling in that presidency GM type role with the Knicks, and it looks more and more every day like Carmelo's going to leave, and if this can be something to help convince him to make Boston a contender once again, I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea. My question was, how did this Kevin Love stuff not border on tampering? It's getting close.
Because he's not talking with team. It is getting close, but he's not talking to Ainge. He's not talking with Brad Stevens. Players can talk with each other. That's, how the whole Miami Heat thing happened. LeBron and Dwayne Wade had a little meeting. They called Chris Bosh, and they all ended up on the same team. Players are allowed to talk to players, and, obviously he's allowed to talk to Rob Gronkowski and do all that stuff that he also did. But, he didn't talk to team officials. He didn't talk to any front office Celtics members. It is getting close, though. I will give you that one.
Yeah, it's because I was sitting there waiting for someone to get fined from the team because it was getting a little ridiculous, but I loved every second of it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely fun. It's the best thing was the image of him shaking Rondo's hand at Fenway Park.
Because that just blew up.
Probably that was the best image because he's talking to the Celtics star player. They're hanging out. They're not just having a meeting. They're off doing something fun together. So and then.
Yeah, they're off doing something fun together, watching the Red Sox finally win. But no, and the other interesting thing that I noticed from that was that he was hanging out with Patriots players, which I found kind of interesting. It was just apparently he was hanging out with Revis the night he got here, which sounds really interesting in my head.
That's all good to hear, but Kevin Love, unlike Carmelo, not a free agent, you're gonna have to give something up to get him there. So, is there a place where you draw the line if you're Danny Ainge, or what's untouchable right now to you?
Rondo.
Rondo's untouchable.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it right now. Or obviously 9 first-round draft picks over the next 5 years. I think is there any of those? Rondo's untouchable to me too. Is there too many draft picks you can give up, or just?
I wouldn't. I think 4 is where I might draw the line.
Because here's what you think. After if we get Kevin Love and then if Carmelo comes after, which would be unbelievable. Those aren't going to be lottery draft picks at some point. You're only going to be giving up this one lottery draft pick, which is the 6th overall pick, and after that, they're going to be high 20s. Hopefully 30th.
Because that Clippers, now that Sterling's not the owner of the Clippers anymore, and the Clippers are still going to be in contention, that Clippers pick is a throwaway. Yeah, it's going to be at least 24, 25.
Yeah, I've always considered that Clippers pick the best trade asset because it's not going to be a great draft pick, but it's still a first-round draft pick. And, if you go to a pick next year, you might want to give up the. Or it might be something like the Timberwolves will get the better of the 2 picks in these upcoming seasons as they as they keep going forward. So I'm just excited. Player-wise, I'm willing to give up Olynyk and Sullinger. Probably not both. I'd like to keep at least one of those young forwards there too to help grow with Kevin Love, who's not that old himself. You got a mid-30s or like a early to mid-30s Kevin Garnett. You're getting a Kevin Love in his mid-20s here from Minnesota in this case. So
Kevin Love is just stepping into his prime. He's going to become one of the top 5 players in the NBA. He's one of the only 5 players in the NBA that went 25 and 12 last year. I mean, you're getting back a 25-year-old who is going to change the face of your franchise.
yeah, I mean, you know, right now you don't have a go-to scorer right now, and you know, I think Kevin Love's a guy who's always made Ricky Rubio look like a better point guard than he is, and now you're giving him Rajon Rondo. So they're gonna, you know, I think they'll destroy the league together. You'll have, you know, Jeff Green suddenly goes from being your first wheel to your third wheel, and then right then you just take off.
And we've seen Green in that role, and that's where he's the best. He can't be the guy.
Yeah, he had that role on some good Oklahoma City teams when you know he was a piece behind Westbrook and Durant, and then he came here. You know, he was a piece on an aging team. I'm sure if he was a piece when the big three was, you know, younger off and healthier, I'm sure it would have been a lot more effective or a lot more appreciated, per se.
Exactly.
But, you know, to see him be a piece once again, I think it's going to be huge. And then, obviously, you know, you got to plug up the roster. If, you know, Chris Humphries is a free, you want him back. If Bass ends up going to Minnesota, I'd probably want him back.
Yeah.
And then you got to make a decision on Jared Bayless as well. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Jared.
Yeah, you saw, you know, Jared. I think that third guard is going to be something that's important is to building a bench. So you have that guy right there with Bayless.
Were you the one who wrote the piece about Gerald Wallace?
I did write that piece about Gerald Wallace today. I do want to start him over Jeff Green. I was going to get to that.
Why?
All right. Did you read it, or did you just read the headline?
I read like the headline in the first sentence.
All right. Because think about it. You have Rondo's been on the defensive first team multiple times in his career. Bradley's the best defender on the team. You have, you know, Kevin Love and Humphries are defense and rebounding guys. If Gerald Wallace is a far superior defender, he was second on the team in assists. He was the best second on the team in steals. He was the top assist player for people who weren't guards. Gerald Wallace will set the tone defensively. If you just go with that defensive, you know, starting lineup, you set the tone defensively, and then Wallace is the player like J.R. Smith was when the Knicks were good just a year ago. Or not Wallace, but Jeff Green.
I get what you're saying, because the other problem with this Carmelo and Kevin Love situation is Carmelo and Kevin Love have not been defensive standouts in their whole careers.
That's true.
They've been slightly average.
I mean, I'm just looking for Gerald Wallace to set the tone defensively, and then have Jeff Green come and score after you wear the other team out.
So you're talking about giving, like, Stutzy in.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mentioned in the article, I don't want to take minutes away from him, but I want to wear the team out with just, you know, defense, rebound, and hustle right away, and then let Jeff Green go do a shooting thing.
Okay.
You know, bring him in towards the end of the first quarter. And I think getting a minute against bench players too, you know, you'll create more mismatches that way. Because we talk about Jeff Green doesn't have a defined position right now, and I don't think if you have a defined position, I don't think you should be a starter in this, you know, on a championship team.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. You're right.
I mean, I still want to give him the minutes. I still want to see him scoring, you know, 15, 16, 17 points a game. I just don't want him. You know, I think Wallace can be effective playing 20 minutes, but some of those minutes being early in the game.
Yeah. No, things are looking up for the Celtics, which is a nice thing to have happen after the year they had. And we hope this can only help.
But obviously, if you get...
Can they make the trade before the?
Yeah, I mean, if you get... I don't know. I don't think it happens before the draft. I really think, you know, what if there's a guy Minnesota really wants at 5, and he doesn't slip there? I mean, I have heard that the Ray Allen deal was done well in advance when they got the 5th pick to get Jeff Green. from the
Okay.
Celtics, but they wanted to stick around and make sure Jeff Green, their guy, fell to fifth. And that's when the deal was done. I think, Minnesota might want to look around, maybe scout, see who they want before they make an official trade. But I wouldn't. I'd expect it to happen on draft night if it involves that pick.
All right. I get that. That makes the most sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it's Minnesota protecting themselves.
Just realistically, I expect it to happen on draft night. So.
All right. All right. Moving on to other fun news. We got a beloved member of the 2013 Red Sox back in the lineup last night.
Yeah, he was back 0 for 2. He drew 2 walks though, right? So he was getting on base.
Yeah, getting on base, playing some defense. That's what it's all about.
All base and defense. I read the stat. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop had accounted his errors had accounted for more runs than any individual player this year so far. So I think third base is something that he'll be able to handle, a bit simpler. And then going forward, Steven Drew, the defensive standout at shortstop. And even if he hits 210, that's still higher than Will Middlebrooks was hitting. So there you
Everybody can hit higher than Middlebrooks.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotta hit 210. I don't know. Another piece I wrote this morning. The Red Sox are convincingly under 500 against right-handed starters, and Drew is somebody who's hit right-handed pitching better than significantly better in his career than a lot of guys. Half the Red Sox regular starters are hitting like under 240 against right-handed pitching this year. So, hopefully Drew can help him out there a bit, especially. So.
Yeah, I read an article.
Unfortunately, they did lose the first game.
I read an article of the same effect about a week or two ago when they were in the middle of the that 10 that like 80-something percent of the league is right-handed, and they were well below 500. And how do you expect to win in this league against if you can't hit right-handed pitching? And it's a serious problem that they have. But they're definitely correcting it with Steven Drew, but it's not enough.
Because even David Ortiz, a left-handed bat, is hitting like 25 points higher against left-handed pitching this year. It's just the lineup straight up isn't hitting right-handed pitching, and that is a problem with so many of the league being right-handed pitchers. So it's it is something that Steven Drew can hopefully help out, get a couple more hits. Again, just be better than Will Middlebrooks. That's not that hard. It's I'm sure a lot of us could contribute like that. So it is good. They have been, it seems like a lot of the American League East were slowly trying to find out who they are. I mean, the Red Sox had a 7-game winning streak, and in the last 10 games they are 7-3, and they've still lost ground. Toronto's 8-2 in the last 10 games. So it is, Toronto's starting to find it just as the Red Sox are starting to find it. It's going to be an interesting race. I know Sunday was the third of the way through the season mark, so. We have had a good chunk of the season go by.
Yeah, I know Toronto's been on an absolute tear, but I don't know if Toronto can keep up the pace they've been going. And I know the Red Sox have just been treading water, but I'd like to see them make a bit of a move and try and gain some ground on Toronto. Pitching needs to get going. The pitching needs to get going if they're going to do that. And you saw a kid come in Ruby De La Rosa and pitch 7 strong against a Tampa Bay team that obviously was going through some slumping themselves, but it'd be nice to see.
After this morning, the Tampa Bay has the worst record in the American League as of this morning, and that includes the Houston Astros.
Really?
They are bad this year.
Includes the Astros?
Yeah, they had the worst record in the American League this morning. The Tampa Bay Rays are not the team they were supposed to be.
Did I pick them to win the division? I think I did.
No, all of us picked the Red Sox to win the division. All of us had Boston, I believe. I think you might have been the only one who didn't have. I think you were the only one who put them in second, though. The rest of us put New York in second. I had a. I mean, it's been a rough year for just Tampa Bay, and and the thing that's bad for Tampa Bay, if they have the Red Sox in 2012, you saw them blow up the team. They traded all these guys that blockbuster trade to the Dodgers. They let a lot of people go. But it's so easy for the Red Sox to rebuild because they can come back and they can pay for Mike Napoli. Steven Drew, Victorino, they can pay for Gomes, and they got Dempster, and they were able to, get all these guys and just buy a new team right away. Tampa Bay is not going to be able to buy a team and rebuild. If they have to blow up your team, they're going to have to spend years rebuilding through the system.
Yeah, the way Tampa Bay built their team is great, and it's a great story, but it's not built to last. It's built to...
No, and I'm surprised. It's built to last a couple years here and there, and then you're going to have to rebuild it, and this is probably the end of Tampa Bay's run. And the Red Sox are fortunate to have the luxury maybe 5 other teams have, and when they rebuild, they can do it, in the snap of a finger and just buy up a new team, which they pretty much did last year. They kept their core with Ortiz and Pedroia, and they bought the rest of the team around them.
Yeah.
And Tampa Bay can't do that. Yankees can do that. The Dodgers will be able to do that when their guys all get old. There's not many teams that will. St. Louis might be able to do it, but that's really it.
Yeah, you're right. And that's an MLB money problem, and that's where the argument for a salary cap comes in. But nobody wants to have that discussion.
No, and Billy Bean would love a salary cap, and speaking
dominated salary cap as well.
Oakland is head over heels the best team in baseball right now, and they have double the run differential of anybody. They're making statement series win after statement series win, but
no money,
and they're doing it with no money. You're right.
But speaking of building a team, I think the Red Sox need to make an addition at the deadline. I think they need to get some back end of the bullpen help.
Yeah, bullpen depth, the corner outfielder, because Victorino's hitting .210 and he's on the DL for the second time this year. Nava's hitting 1-something. Gomes is one of those guys who's only hitting left-handed pitching, so I think a corner outfielder and some bullpen depth is well needed. I know, Steven Drew helps that. Infield depth was a big question I had going into the year, and I know.
And now they've got a ton.
Yeah,
they have a ton of infielders.
Drew helps that out because I said Herrera isn't in the NL West anymore. And he came in and wasn't the player people thought he was. Middlebrooks is a disappointment, and they really need an infield depth. But right now with Drew, he shares that up, and now I think they need to focus on, as you said, the bullpen depth and then a corner outfielder.
Yeah, I think they're just having a little bit of a hot streak here and see if they can move him for some back of the bullpen or a corner outfielder, like you said. It's cold.
So, if you package Brock Holt, another, not an elite prospect, but a decent prospect, you'll catch a corner outfielder that can come in and produce.
Yep. So it's a big week for you, huh?
Yeah, I haven't stopped watching the MSG Network these last couple of days. It's I don't like this. I like being able to watch it for fun. I don't like having to care about this.
No, we've had this conversation. When you have a team in a championship, it's not fun.
I know.
You don't enjoy it.
No, I'm not going to enjoy it. I was able to enjoy the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, but once they made the Eastern Conference Finals, it suddenly gets serious, and I stop enjoying it. The first 2 rounds are just I'm watching for sport. Now I care.
Eastern Conference Finals, and you just want to look at TV and go, fuck. Because it's tough. It's going to be a lot of long nights for you.
Wait there, and then all of a sudden, yeah, they really are, and it's tough, and I have, and a lot of people are going, surprise, the Rangers made it. I read this article in the Post the other. The Rangers are just one of 2 Eastern Conference teams who've only missed the playoffs once since that full season lockout. They're the only Eastern Conference team who's made it out of the first round the last 3 years. I read this article saying the Rangers have been one of the more stable recently, and it's hard to believe because they're terrible at times, and they have terrible stretches during the season, and they were the 12th best team in the NHL this year, but
Well, that's what happens when
here they
you
are.
have top-tier goaltending. This is what
Well,
a
and,
number
and
one
that,
goalie.
that's true, and that's why. Did you see the
This is what a
stat?
goalie like Henrik.
Yeah. Did you see the story about Henrik Lundqvist and because he got pulled in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Uh huh.
He has been pulled 20 times in his career.
Uh huh.
So the next game, 10 times out of the 20, he's recorded a shutout in the next game.
Oh wow.
That is when he has a bad game, he comes back and just has his, just has it. So,
No,
if he gets if the Rangers are up 3-2, I'm kind of in the back of my mind just have Lundqvist let in like 7 goals. He'll come back in Game 7 and get you the sweep. And what about this new NHL just playoff system? It was a
they
crazy
hit it out of the park.
playoffs.
Well, it had to be explained to me about 1,000 times, and I don't think I understood it until I
The Kings had to win.
saw it. But once I saw it, 3 road Game 7s. Yeah, the NHL really did a good job on it.
It's what
Surprisingly.
It's what I said. They built it for the better teams to lose, and it worked.
100%. Yeah, it did work. You had the President's
And
Cup winner down in the second
you
round.
had 6 Game 7s. 6 Game 7s, and 5 of them were won by the road team.
There you go.
Yeah, it was Rangers over Philly. Rangers over Philly was the only home Game 7 win. It's all postseason. So it's been a year.
So how are we feeling? Give me a prediction.
Kings in 7. I want to say Kings in 6 realistically.
Oh.
Realistically, I want to say Kings in 6. But then I don't see the Kings clinching it at the Garden. But yeah.
Okay.
There's no way you're getting a Ranger prediction out of me. There's just no way. I don't know what you're feeling.
Oh, I'm not getting the Ranger victory. I'm going Rangers
No,
in
you're
5.
not. You're not getting one. Rangers in 5. I was in New York on Saturday, and I was in New York on Saturday, and I'm walking down Pennsylvania Plaza past the Garden. As they were, it was just good timing. I was just walking by, and they were draping the "We Want the Cup" banner. Or actually, we were in a bus going by, and I just saw the "We Want the Cup" banner being dropped, real quick. Can you guess the player's image they used?
No, it's not. It's not Callahan, is it?
No, that would have been great. That would have been that would have been better. It was Benoit
Who
Pouliot.
was it?
And
Really?
it was Benoit Pouliot. And I don't know who decided that. I don't know who votes on it. Callahan would have been a very good one. And I can't imagine he's too happy watching the playoffs right now.
The Bruins did that in the last Stanley Cup run, where they just put them everywhere in the city. There's just random players, and I just walk around and be like, why is Gregory Kim on that banner? He's not even playing.
But yeah, it's funny. It's just, I mean, it's weird. Half this team is free agents, so they're all going somewhere for more money because they got this cup run.
They got it, James.
But, yeah. I hope they have it. I really do. It would be nice. I know if they win it in 5 games, they win it on the anniversary of the '94 Cup. So Rangers at 5 would be.
I didn't even know that.
Fun. If they win it in 5, it's on the anniversary.
That's awesome.
If they win it in 7, I'm going to be in Boston for that 7th game. So that'll be fun.
You're awesome. Never mind. Don't say that on the
I
internet.
have Red Sox tickets.
Oh, you do? What game?
I have Red Sox tickets. It's going Red Sox Twins. It's an afternoon game, so I mean I'll be able to watch. I'm not going to be stuck at Fenway
Is it the 13th?
for that. It's the 18th.
Oh no, that's a Friday. They don't do day games on Fridays. Never mind.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's a Wednesday. It's middle of the week. I think it's a day
They'll do
game
that
that they're
sometimes.
getting so that teams can travel.
Mm-hmm.
Last game of the series. I think it's just something to make travel a bit easier. One of those games. So.
Yep.
But yeah,
So
it's gonna be a fun Stanley Cup.
good luck.
Yeah, I want them to win.
Anything else?
Win one to get Sather. Win one to get Sather to retire. I also read something interesting on Sather before how Glenn Sather personally orchestrated that full season lockout.
Really?
How 5 years before the lockout, he conveniently signed every new player to a nice 5-year contract. He went 4 years, 3 years, just straight up down the line. And then during the lockout, they instituted the first salary cap in the NHL. They missed the playoffs all 5 of those years. But then he came out, and every team's cutting players left and right to fit it under the salary cap, and there he is, able to sign everybody. And they've been a very stable team since then.
I've read stories about that, about the Jacobses and how the Jacobs were huge in the lockout.
Yeah, and I've heard that the Rangers and Bruins ownership groups were two of the big wigs in making sure the lockouts they can help their team.
Yep.
The Bruins weren't that great heading into the lockout either, too, right? They were. I like the Rangers.
Jacobs was always pinching pennies over there, and he needed the salary cap so his team could be competitive. But
yeah, I mean,
right.
it's worked for both of them. But
anything else?
Anything else?
I
think another World Cup's on TV tonight.
When's
I
it
don't know.
begin?
I just really like what ESPN's done.
Yeah, they've been actually doing a really good job
wanna-
building up to it.
Yeah, that whole road to the World Cup thing's fun. There's another one on tonight, I believe.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch. I mean, it's clearly a close group of guys, and it's clearly their most skilled group of guys.
Yeah, I mean, and they play well with each other. They seem to get along, so that's important. You're gonna go on.
I watched the game the other day, and they looked pretty good until the end. They were starting to break down defensively. It just looked like a legs issue, but.
I mean, I feel like in a friendly, you get up. Well, they got up 2-0, right? And then they just held on for dear life.
Yeah, and they were playing some guys that I don't think are gonna. Some of the 32 that aren't gonna make the final 23. I mean.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. I mean, I'm excited. I think if they can get out of the group stage alive, they're going to be battle tested and just ready for anything. So if they get out of the group stage alive and healthy, they're in contention.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think health's the good thing. Health's a big thing because you already don't have Landon Donovan, which I still disagree with. And if a guy like Dempsey gets hurt too, you're not going to score goals.
Well, if Dempsey got hurt, even if Donovan was there, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I actually, after a while, have come to terms. I think I agree with the decision about Donovan. He's older.
I mean, yeah,
This is a younger team.
It is a younger team, and I think they got a lot of the team that came up in like the under 17s and the under 19s, and these guys have played together, and it's a lot of guys that Donovan would have never played with, but I mean, he's Landon Donovan. That's just it's a hard thing with me.
Sometimes it's over. I honestly think he should have retired after last time, but he just wanted to be the first American to play in 4 World Cups.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the one thing I didn't like was Klinsmann tweeted out like a congrats to him when he broke the MLS goal record the day after he didn't make the team, and he's like, "Hey, congrats, bro, good job, like proud of you."
Well, they covered that in the last Road to the World Cup, and I guess he called him too.
Yeah, that's.
I guess they're really close.
Yeah, I mean, and apparently the relationships seemed to start off a little rocky, but I think during the what was it, the Gold Cup last year, they seemed to kind of get back. Donovan played really well in that Gold Cup, and I know it wasn't nobody really had their best teams out there, but I mean, he played well last year in that, for what's worth.
And he's Clint whole team.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job, and I feel like my fear is because they have played very well since he took over. They've beaten Italy in Italy. They've beaten Mexico in Mexico. They beat Germany. They've beaten all these good teams. They played great games. My fear is if they do really well in this World Cup, if the German job magically opens after we beat them, does Klinsmann
He signed.
And that's something I've always been afraid of, especially since I saw. I mean that's true, but I've always been
He signed
afraid of
through
it just in the back of my head because I know I have grown to him as a good coach.
Can he do that, or is it like players where once they commit they can't?
Because but look at coaching. Like in college football, coaches take better jobs left and right, and I mean I know that doesn't happen at the professional level as much, or unless it's like Doc Rivers where it's a trade, technically. But I mean in college football you see it, and in college basketball you'll see it, but I don't know how at that stage. I really don't.
Yeah, I know that once a player commits to play for a team, they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to like switch. Like Julian Green committed to the USA, so he can never play for Germany.
Right.
So I don't know if that's the way it works with coaches or.
Because what's his face? Who was our last coach? Bradley. Bradley coaches.
He coaches Egypt now.
Yeah, he coaches Egypt now.
I forgot.
But he wasn't under contract anymore. I just don't know what the contract will allow him to do.
Yeah, it's an interesting question.
Because I feel like if we just show up Germany at this World Cup, I feel like Germany will want their countrymen to coach.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he really likes this job.
I know. I think I've always gotten that feeling too. I've just always been afraid of it because I love him so much as a coach. I know how good he is. Like I know how important he is, and then I don't want to see him just go and have us have to scramble and.
Yeah. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a fun couple weeks.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm excited. I know the group's hard. I know the travel schedule is brutal, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Me too. All right. Well, I think that's everything.
All right. Enjoy the beach.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. Enjoy whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. I think I'm. I don't know.
Stuff there.
I will enjoy it though. All right. So for Colin Daly, I'm James Terry. This is Beantown Shakedown. Check back with us on Twitter at BTSD_sports for more updates on all your favorite Boston sports teams and for more updates on when these live webcasts are.